Hi guys, today we're going to talk about all the books that I want to read in December. I have been woefully behind on my NetGalley ARCs, so I am dubbing December ARCapalooza. It's happening. I'm using this month to catch up on ARCs that I've missed the release dates for, and to get ahead on the ones that are coming out in the early half of 2023. I am boosting that NetGalley score. It's currently sitting at a hot 64%, so this month is all about improving that. Before I dive into the ARCs I'm going to get into this month, I just want to take a quick second to thank the sponsor of today's video, which is Ana Luisa. If you've been on my channel for any length of time, you will know that I talk about Ana Luisa all the time. Pretty much all of my jewelry at this point is from them. I just love their pieces so much. They are a carbon neutral, water neutral, and an overall environmentally friendly jewelry company, and their pieces are just so cute. This month I picked up a set of rings that they're so cute. They stack. It's like a little star and a crescent moon. And this one is called Sky. I was kind of nervous about getting rings from them just because I don't like buying rings that I can't try on, but I just did the quick little measure thing and it worked out great. It fits perfectly, and again, they're just so cute and dainty, and I love how they fit in one another. I like kind of celestial jewelry, and this is that, but subtle, and I just think it's adorable. I also picked up these little hoop earrings. They're mixed metal, which is fun. I get mostly gold jewelry, but I do have a couple silver pieces that I like to incorporate, and I like that these hoops together are silver and gold. It just kind of makes the whole jewelry look pretty cohesive if you are mixing metals, to have a piece like this where they're incorporated together in one actual piece. And they're so simple, but they're honestly a perfect everyday little hoop earring. So I think I'm gonna be wearing these a lot this winter. I think they go with everything, so can't complain about that. And these ones are called the Asher hoops, so definitely recommend these if you like to mix your metals. And then I also picked up another set of hoops because I'm obsessed with them lately. This set is called Oshi, and it has these little stars, which, like I said, I like kind of subtle celestial jewelry. I think going into Christmas time, star jewelry in particular is just so cute. So again, I foresee myself wearing these a lot this month. They're adorable. And in even more exciting news, Ana Luisa just bumped up my promo code from 10% to 20%. So if you use the code Lexi'sLibrary20, you can get 20% off of your purchase from Ana Luisa, which is such a good deal, especially if you're Christmas shopping, that's a steal. So I think the pieces are already so fairly and affordably priced, so even just getting a 20% discount code is amazing. So thank you so much to Ana Luisa for sponsoring today's video. Now let's jump into the books. So we're gonna start off with the books that I already have physical copies of, because yes, I am that behind on ARCs. First up is The City of Dusk by Tara Sim. This is the Fairy Loot edition. I believe this was their second adult Fairy Loot box. It came out in June or something. I'm so behind. But this one sounds really interesting. It's the first in a series. I believe it's the City of Dusk is separated into these 4 realms that all worship different gods, and they're gods' descendants. Yeah, so it says the 4 realms, life, death, light, and darkness, all converge on the City of Dusk, ruled by the 4 noble houses of Nexus, but the gods have withdrawn their favor from the once vibrant and thriving city, and without it, all the realms are dying. I've heard kind of mixed things about this. I have heard that it reads kind of YA, which is interesting because it is an adult book, but I'm curious to see for myself, and hopefully I love it, but we'll see. Next up is The Stardust Thief by Chelsea Abdullah. This is also the Fairy Loot edition, but I think this is from the young adult box, actually. And this one, I'm so mad at myself because I was so looking forward to this book. I was like, this is gonna be a perfect summer read. It's like a 1001 Nights retelling, and I was just like, desert, thief, treasure vibes. I thought it would be such a fun summer read, and then I just didn't get to it. So very disappointed in myself for that one. But I am excited to get into it finally. So like I said, this is a retelling kind of 1001 Nights, which is a classic, and I think this is like inspired by one of the stories within 1001 Nights. It's not a retelling of like Scheherazade and the Sultan or anything. It's like one of the stories that she tells. All I know is that there's like the main character is a thief with a djinn bodyguard, and there's also kind of a cowardly prince figure. So I think they team up. I'm very curious to see where the adventure lies. I know this is the first one in a series as well, so hopefully I read it and I love it, and maybe by the time the arc for the second book comes out, I'll be prepared. And then third is one that I actually just picked up. This only just came out in this last month, and then Books A Million had it for 50% off on Black Friday, so I snapped it up, and that is Little Eve by Catriona Ward. I read The Last House on Needless Street earlier this year, and it just blew my mind. I'm not usually one for like thrillers, but like that one was so good. I need to read what else she has out. This one I'm pretty sure follows a cult, and the main character is a young girl in this cult. Beyond that, my idea of it is pretty vague. It takes place in Scotland. So they're like a doomsday cult. The main character is young Eve, but something horrible happens and the police become involved to investigate a brutal murder, and something about this ceremony goes horribly wrong. I'm curious to see if this is as intriguing and mind-boggling as The Last House on Needless Street. I feel like sometimes when an author comes out with a book that like their first one just blows everyone's mind, that is a lot to try to live up to with your subsequent books. So hopefully I like this one, and I'm not like as behind on this as I am with some of the other arcs. So I feel like this is still redeemable for me. And now let's dive into some of the ones that I either don't own or aren't out yet, so I'm not officially behind on. Coming out this month is A Fire Endless by Rebecca Ross. This is the sequel and the final book in the Elements of Cadence duology, the first one being A River Enchanted. I loved that book. It was so magical and atmospheric. It was like you had this fae element, but in like a really environmental kind of way, not in like an ACOTAR kind of way. And I just thought that was so beautiful. It was so well written. I loved the characters and the character relationships in the first book. There's like a main couple, I think it's Jack and Adara, and they're like the younger couple, and I thought the ones that I would be rooting for, but there's a slightly older couple that the story follows that I was just like the entire time reading. So I'm really curious to see how the story develops. The overall plot involves this island called Cadence, and it's kind of divided down the middle by these two peoples, and on one side of the island, they can't use magic, but they, like, the land itself flourishes, where on the other side of the island, they can use magic, but it's, like, barren, and they have a really hard time farming and stuff, so these peoples are, like, always kind of squabbling with one another, and the main four characters are sort of at the heart of this conflict, specifically Jack and Adara. So I cannot wait to see where the story goes. I'm so excited to read it. That comes out December 6th. As of this recording, it is December 3rd, and I do want to try to read some of it this weekend. So we'll see if I can get my review up on time for release day, but I doubt it. And the only other 2022 arc that I have left to review is When We Were Friends by Holly Bourne, and this is a contemporary lit fic book, which is not my normal wheelhouse, like, at all, but this one sounded intriguing. The cover is beautiful, also, that definitely caught my eye, and it's described as a darkly funny novel where two women reunite after a decade of estrangement, only to confront the forces that destroyed their friendship in the first place. I don't know what about that is supposed to be funny. That sounds like a nightmare, but I love drama. This one feels like almost personal, like I'm reading someone's like Reddit post about like in like the relationship subreddit, but in book form. So I'm curious to see what drove these friends apart from one another and what brings them back together and if everything works out. I don't know how long this one is, but I'm hoping it's a quick read since it's a contemporary one. I feel like I usually get through those a little faster than fantasy books, and this one came out in September, so now we have some ones for the kind of early first few months of 2023. I'm hoping to get to just, you know, getting ahead of the curve before the new year. Not in any particular order. I didn't organize this by release date or priority, but these are just the arcs that I have to review. So first up is the next Wayward Children's book, Lost in the Moment and Found by Seanan McGuire. I love this series. It's like a series of novellas, portal fantasies, but also found family, and you have the magical reality of these kids traveling to this other world, but then like the crushing nature of when they have to come back to this world and they feel like they've been ripped away from a home that was perfectly curated for them, and them also forging these relationships with people who have been through similar things. So it's a lot of stuff to balance in a novella, but Seanan McGuire does it beautifully. And I like that, like, every couple of books, she kind of flips back and forth between sort of solo adventures with these kids in their worlds, and then you'll have, like, a book or two that kind of takes place more in our world with kids who are reconciling their new reality or with their new reality. So it's a really well-balanced series, and I'm really excited for this next one. Then we have another Rebecca Ross book, actually, called Divine Rivals. After loving A River Enchanted so much, when I saw that she was coming out with another book, I was like, I don't even care what this is about, I'm gonna read this. But luckily, it does sound very interesting. So the little blurb on NetGalley says, when two young rival journalists find love through a magical connection, they must face the depths of hell in a war among gods to seal their fates forever. I believe this has to do with, like, magical typewriters. So immediately sold. And I love the idea of, like, them being journalists in this magical world. I'm very curious to see what that looks like. I think this will be beautifully written like her other books have been, and it sounds like so different from the Elements of Cadence duology, but I'm hoping it has that same magic to her writing. Then we have The Crane Husband by Kelly Barnhill, which is a retelling, I'm pretty sure. Also pretty sure this is a novella, so I'm hoping I get through it fast. So the main character of this one is a 15-year-old girl whose mom brings home a 6-foot-tall crane with a menacing air. The girl is powerless to prevent her mom letting the intruder into her heart and her children's lives. Is it a literal crane? I think the original story is like a man turns a crane into a woman to be his wife. I'm very curious about this one. Is it a literal crane? I'm so curious. I have not read anything by Kelly Barnhill. I think she wrote When Women Were Dragons, which came out this last year, which I've heard kind of had mixed reviews, but all of her concepts seem like very intriguing. So I'm curious to finally dip my toes into her writing and see if I vibe with it. And I think a novella is a good place to start with that. Then we have another book by an author that I've previously read and really enjoyed. It's The Foxglove King by Hannah Witten, who wrote the For the Wolf and For the Throne duology. I really loved For the Wolf. For the Throne was kind of for me, but I think that's just like the plot was extended beyond what I felt was necessary, but I did really like Hannah Witten's writing, so, and her world building especially, actually. So I'm very curious to pick up a new series by her. This one is described as lush, romantic, and it's about a young woman's secret power to raise the dead, which plunges her into the dangerous and glamorous world of the sainted king's royal court. All I know is that, like, yeah, she can raise the dead. So necromancy and romance, it seems dark, but like gothic-y. I don't know. I'm very curious about this one. I kind of want to go into it not knowing more than that, so I'm going to stop reading the description there. But needless to say, I like this author. Very curious to see how this one goes, if I like it just as much as For the Wolf, or if it kind of lets me down like For the Throne did. I will say the aesthetic photos that she's posted on her Instagram for this book are phenomenal. And then finally, we have Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. And this one was put on my radar because I'm pretty positive it's an upcoming Fairy Loot book. I think it's the December adult pick. And also I have heard the love interest compared to Hal from Howl's Moving Castle, the book, not the movie. And that is like one of my favorite male archetypes, is like the chaotic, energetic, kind of bratty young man. So I hope that's true, because that just sounds incredible. But the description on NetGalley for this one says, a curmudgeonly professor journeys to a small town in the far north to study fairy folklore and discovers dark fae magic, friendship, and love in the start of a heartwarming and enchanting new fantasy series. It sounds like warm and cozy. I love the cover for this one too, and I love a good fae story, so I'm curious to see this author's take on the fae and if it kind of falls in line with more of like my preferred style of fae tellings or like the sexy ACOTAR type. I have a feeling it's gonna be more like Holly Black fae, which I'm excited about. Also, I love it when like the woman is the grumpy character. Like, that's really fun to me. And from what I'm reading, I do get the Sophie Howell vibes. Again, book form, not the movie, but yeah. So this one sounds really cute and I'm really excited to read this. I think it comes out in January. Yeah, so that one's pretty high up on my list. And yeah, that wraps up my December TBR. It's definitely ambitious. I don't think I'll actually be able to get to all of these. I am hoping to at least get to the novellas and knock those out of the way, because NetGalley doesn't discriminate. If I review a book, I review a book. It doesn't matter how long it is, it's gonna help my score. So I'm genuinely excited to read all of these. I really try not to request ARCs for books that I don't care about. Unfortunately, I've just gotten a little bit behind this year, kind of prioritizing new releases and whatnot. So yeah, I think this will be a good month to kind of reset and try to get that back on track. But let me know if you've read any of these, or if you have ARCs for any of these, or if you're excited to see my review of any of these. Definitely let me know down in the comments below. I'm so excited for this TBR. And once again, thank you to Ana Luisa for sponsoring today's video. Don't forget to use my code Lexi'sLibrary20 and my link down in the description box below to check out what they have, maybe do some Christmas shopping, maybe do some personal shopping for yourself. They've got some really cute stuff. Thank you guys so much for watching. Feel free to like this video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and as always, have a lovely day.